why don't we open it up to the first question from the floor? Where are those questions coming from? Okay, over there. Let's get our first question for the panel.
This question is for James. Sandwich John from SandwichJohnFilms.com and the Arnold fans. Do you have any projects maybe in mind for Arnold when he's out of office? Perhaps True Lies 2?
Well, Arnold and I have discussed the possibility of coming back to acting. I would not rule that possibility out, but Arnold loves a press conference just as much as the next guy, so I'm going to let him do any announcing.
One last thing. What's your favorite sandwich? Mine's a pastrami on rye. Yourself?
I'm good with pastrami on rye. Well, you got one?
Next non-food related question from the floor.
Hi, Mr. Cameron. My question is for you. You have to be one of my favorite directors, and I've seen every single one of your films. And I also want to thank you for making something that's creative and original. It's not a remake or a sequel.
Hey.
Do you have any cameos in there for Michael Biehn?
No, there was one military character that Michael would have been perfect for, and he's playing him.
But Jim, if we go back in time, I think there was a story that even Stephen Lang was up for Michael Bihn's role in one of your prior movies, and Michael got that role.
That's right, on Aliens. You came in on Aliens.
I came in on Aliens 20 years ago or more. I was cast in Avatar. I regard it as the longest callback I've ever had. I gotta tell you that I gave up on Aliens at least 3 or 4 years ago when somebody told me it had been out for a while.
If you came in on Aliens 20 years ago, it had already been out for 3 years.
One more question on the floor.
This is for Mr. Cameron. What sparked the idea of you creating this awesome movie?
Wow. The super honest answer, which is a little mercenary, is that I was the CEO of Digital Domain at the time, and we were I think at that particular time, this was in the early mid-90s, we were really good at 2D composite, but we were lagging behind in 3D character development. So in the same way that I wrote Terminator just to kind of get a directing gig, I decided to write a story that was full of creatures and characters that would push the art of CG for that company. But we looked at it when they broke it down. They said, "We can't do this. What are you, out of your mind?" So I literally stuck the treatment in a drawer. When I got it out 4 years ago, I thought, "Wow, this is more timely than ever." With us being at war, with us being in a greater environmental crisis than at any point in the history of the human race. And plus, by the way, it was just a damn good read. I'd sort of completely forgotten about it enough to look at it with fresh eyes. So, I went back to it and said, we can do this now. Peter Jackson had done the second Lord of the Rings film at that point. Gollum was looking pretty damn good. It looked like some soul and some real personality could be captured by CG. And to me, that was like the door opening on the possibility of being able to make this movie. But having said that, we had a lot of work to do in developing the performance technology to capture the work that are, we have a great cast. I mean, let's face it, you've seen a little glimpse of it here. We have an awesome cast and they did great work. Our technology needed to live up to what they could do.
And speaking of what they could do, Sigourney, your character, her history is that of a botanist, and you sort of really embrace that to sort of define how you play the role of Grace Augustine.
Yeah, I had these wonderful women teachers in high school who devoted their lives to trying to help us feel like we could do science. And one of the things that moved me most about Dr. Augustine was that Jim created this brilliant woman scientist who'd thrown everything over to study the flora and fauna of Pandora and to understand the Na'vi way of life. And I have to tell you guys that every single plant and creature and whatever has come out of this crazy bosun's head. And he and the colors, all the work he's done underwater, you can see how much of that inspired this world. And for me, it was such a treat just to even begin studying the plant life. And I feel that it was very meaningful to me. I never did that well in science, but I was always so eager to learn it, and I feel I got a second chance with it.
Now, Zoe, someone who's not here today, but who you work very closely with, is Sam Worthington. I think the dynamics of the relationship really comes off on the screen. Talk a little bit about that dynamic between you and Sam and working with Sam.
I think it started in the auditioning room, and Jim did something very, very fascinating and beautiful. He made it seem like fun from the moment I read the sides without even knowing the script to the moment he flew Sam from Australia to LA and myself from New York to LA, and Sam and I met. We knew we didn't have the job, but it just felt so much fun still. It was just, and we got to meet him, we read the script, and it wasn't like he sat down and allowed another camera guy to tape us as we read our lines. Like, Jim had the camera on his shoulders while he was directing us, and the basic direction was just do whatever you got to do, and I'm just going to follow you guys. To be actors and to be told that, it's like, oh, you mean I can actually play, and I can go anywhere, and you'll make sure you capture it. Is the most liberating thing. So and Sam and I did audition together. We tested together, and then we booked it. So we had this very beautiful connection since the beginning of being these little underdogs. He could have very easily given the role of Neytiri to a series of amazing actresses that had more of a notoriety than I did at the time. I mean, I'm just from Queens, for the love of God. And Sam is this little Aussie hick from Australia who's so amazingly talented and elegant. And he saw us, and he really believed in us, and he fought for us, and then he got us into his mind and into his world, and it's taken us, Sam and I, a long time to get out.
I don't think that will be still longer yet. Back to the floor for the next question.
Hello, my name is Anthony, and first of all, I just like to say, Sigourney, I love you. You're one of my favorite actresses. Thank you so much for coming this evening. I appreciate it so much. My question is for James, Mr. Cameron. You said it took 4 years for you to make this movie. I wanted to know what made you say now is the time to come out with it.
I think it was kind of like knowing that the rain cloud is ready to rain, that the technology could be made to happen, but also just wanting to do something, maybe, I don't want to say important because it sounds now like you're making a documentary or Inconvenient Truth or something like that, but something that has the spoonful of sugar of all the action and the adventure and all that, which thrills me anyway as a fan, but also wanting to do something that has a conscience, that maybe in the enjoying of it makes you think a little bit about the way you interact with nature and with your fellow man. Because I think it's going to be easy for people to look at Avatar and say, okay, this is a war, this is a battle between those nasty industrial humans and those beautiful spiritually evolved Na'vi. But it's really not, because we make science fiction as human beings for human consumption. So what does it really mean, you know? It means that the Na'vi represent something that is our higher selves or our aspirational selves, what we would like to think we are, or maybe what we realize that we're losing. And that the humans in the film, even though there are some good ones salted in, represent kind of what we know to be that part of ourselves that is trashing our world and maybe condemning us to a grim future. So it's really two aspects of ourselves that are in conflict in this film.
I think that's about all the questions we have time for from the floor. But
good questions, guys. Thanks.
Jim, I do have another question for you. You know, one of the things that you do as a filmmaker is you want to share your movie, and today was an opportunity to share the movie. When is the next opportunity that people are going to have to get a little piece of Avatar?
Well, you know, people have been sort of flacking us in the blogosphere for holding back on trailers and stuff like that. So, you know, I wanted to do something that was really special on unveiling the film. I think we've managed to do that today with 6,000.